Right. Disregard the messy bed. Sprinkles is sleeping oh so peacefully yet again. You can't even tell she's there. She's blended into the blanket so well. Anyway, I kind of want to go over the reason why I left certain steps out with regard to how to, like, ideally sanitize everything for when you decide to press your own eyeshadows or face powders that are loose. It's because I assumed certain things were common knowledge, and also I left certain things out or didn't do certain things because I considered them in my situation acceptable risk, but I didn't necessarily explain why I considered it acceptable risk. So, ideally, before undertaking anything like this, you wash your hands, right? Yeah, you would think that's common knowledge, but considering the sheer amount of times I've been to a public restroom and have watched someone leave without washing their hands, that's on me. I should have realized people are disgusting and they don't do that. And I should have mentioned that. But I assumed that you all have good hygiene and wash your hands regularly. That's my bad. Anyway, aside from that, you want to clean your workspace, which is something I did. I didn't show it, but I did. I sprayed down the entire table with rubbing alcohol before I put the paper towels down, because I like to put the paper towels down in case there are spills. I sanitized my tools, and this was a plastic one because I couldn't find my metal one. The metal tools you can boil. I boil. The plastic ones I can't because it'll it'll melt the plastic. So I just spray them down with rubbing alcohol. Not a big deal. And yeah, and then ideally, whatever packaging you're using to put the stuff in, you want to clean and sanitize. And this is plastic, so you can't boil it, so you want to spray it down with alcohol. Now, I only cleaned the pan in the video. I didn't clean the entire package. And part of the reason I didn't do that is because I regularly sanitize my makeup palettes. And I've done a video showing how I sanitize my makeup palettes. And I just, like, douse them in rubbing alcohol and then let them air dry. This was not as generous as I normally spray them down. It's just for demonstration in the video as to what I do. And I even mentioned in the video that after doing the initial pressing, I'll probably go in and do this a second time just to be on the safe side. Because the whole reasoning for pressing this one is because the sifter was damaged, I assumed it was contaminated. I am since decided that that's not the case and that it's just a crappy product, and I'll go into my reasoning a little later. But I also have an unhealthy obsession with trying to give CoverGirl the benefit of the doubt. And I really need to let that go and just realize that they break me out. And part of the, like, I wanted to think that, okay, the reason I ended up with this huge one is because it was contaminated. Because normally CoverGirl breaks me out regardless. And I get, like, these little subdermal ones. Like, here, here, here. This is mostly, yeah, they're like subdermal ones and they go away. They're essentially like little bumps that are inflamed and they go away over it. But this one like turned into like a big one that had a white head and it popped and it started oozing and it was disgusting. And I was absolutely not only was I disgusted, I was kind of like in shock that happened because I never had that happen before. And I was like, it can't be that bad. The product can't be that bad, right? It had to be the fact that the sifter was broken and something got in there. So let's kill whatever's in there and do this, right? So I did that, right? Now, my hands are washed. If you're doing it for somebody else, you probably want to wear gloves and you want to make sure that they're latex free if the person has a latex allergy, right? Another reason why you would probably want to wear gloves is because you don't want your sebum to come in contact with the powder because it will develop hard pan. And I've gone into that about why you shouldn't finger swatch things. I didn't really follow my own rule when doing this because face powders don't last as long, so the chances of it getting hard pan are a lot lower than when you finger swatch your eyeshadows, because eyeshadows last you a lot longer. You don't go through them as quickly because you don't use the same color every single day. I mean, you might, but I don't. Like, I do crazy different color looks every day if I want to. Like, I'll do green one day, blue another day, and then I'm on rotation and I rotate through everything so that I'm not constantly using the same thing. But if you're constantly using the same color with your and finger swashing it, you're gonna get hard pan in it. It's not something that I'm worried about with this, so I really didn't care. That's why I didn't use the gloves. That's why I didn't care that my fingers touched it. But ideally, no, you don't want your fingers touching the powder, and because it'll introduce the oil. Oil goes rancid. It also develops hard pan. That's why your powders go bad. But like I said, didn't really care about this powder because of how bad it broke me out. I was just testing a theory, seeing if this was contaminated. Anyway, that was my reasoning. I thought it was sound. I decided it was acceptable risk. I'm not the bubble boy. I have a relatively strong immune system. I'm not really that concerned about getting sick from it or further breakouts or whatever. Like, I'm not the bubble boy. All right. I'm freaking 40 years old. If I live another 20 years, I'll be lucky. So at this point in my life, I really don't care. I just want to be happy type of a situation. And as far as the rubbing alcohol method, it's only 99.9% effective. I am aware of that. That 0.1% is pretty much super germs that have developed a resistance to things. And you don't usually find those around your house. They are usually found in hospital settings because of how much they clean and disinfect in a hospital. So the germs in those settings have developed a resistance to things. It's very low probability that I'm going to encounter that 0.1% at home, and that's why this pretty much is foolproof. Now, you can turn your oven on to 165 degrees and literally bake the powder. So like I can dump it out on a cookie sheet, put that cookie sheet in the oven at 165 until the powder reaches that temperature, and it'll eviscerate whatever is in there too. Like I can do that. But in my 25 plus years of doing this, rubbing alcohol has always worked. And I've done this with numerous things. I press my own, I mix and press my own colors. I made that one. I made that one. And then there's a bunch of ones that I pressed into this palette from a different palette to make room in my cabinet. So, yeah. And then this one was like two different colors that I mashed together that I didn't mix well together. So it's okay. It's cool. It is whatever. I don't really care. I don't really care much about this palette. It's one of those cheap holiday palettes. I mostly go into this for like using these colors as like transition type of colors. So for other looks. So like I really don't care about this palette. It's also really broken, and as you can see, I clean it regularly. Like, I clean my stuff regularly. And I don't know if I mentioned that. Did I mention that? I'm gonna have to rewatch it, and at worst case scenario, I'll edit this out. But that's also my reasoning for why I didn't clean the entire component. I regularly sanitize these, at least once a month, sometimes 2 to 3 times a month. And like I went into detail in the eyeshadow video of, me doing that type of a deal, letting it air dry type of thing. So that's my reasoning, okay? And I think it's sound, and, I'm not the bubble boy, like I said. I think I'll be fine. And The third methodology as far as eliminating germs from your makeup, and the main reason why I think this was just a crappy product and wasn't and even if it was contaminated, probably wasn't contaminated at the time that I used it, is time. Okay, germs are not immortal. They're like us. They die. So, fungus, viruses, bacteria, they all die. If they don't have a food source and they can't multiply, they die, right? Makeup also has preservatives that make it unfriendly for germs to thrive and reproduce in them. So they have antimicrobial agents in them and preservatives, right? On top of that, this powder was a backup powder to a different powder that I bought. I bought them at the same time, and it took me about a year to use that other powder up. So this was sitting, even though it had the bad sifter, in the closet, in the sealed packaging, for over a year. Any germ that was in here was long dead by the time I used it. So this wasn't from a contaminated product. Essentially, me pressing it to try to eliminate the contamination was futile because it wasn't contaminated. Any germ that was possibly in there was long dead by the time I used it. I just wanted to give CoverGirl the benefit of the doubt. And you can Google, if you don't want to believe me, you can Google it. So viruses, bacteria, fungi, they can't live on their own for longer than a couple hours to maybe 7 days. No, they can't. They need a food source. They need a good environment to thrive in. So they will not live in your lipstick, in your makeup, longer than 7 days. So the fact that this was sitting on the side, untouched, in the packaging, despite it having a broken sifter, means anything that was in there is long dead and gone. And you'll see this even in a lab setting where they introduce the bacteria to a petri dish. Once it eats all the food in the petri dish, sorry, I can't talk, it's gonna die if you don't give it more of that stuff that's in the petri dish. You know, like that clear jelly. I think it's like a sugar, gelatin kind of thing that allows them to like eat it and multiply. It's been a while since like I swabbed it. Like since I took a biology class type of thing. So I don't remember all that. But once it eats the whole food source and you don't add to it, it dies. Yeah. So yeah. If you set your makeup aside for a long enough period of time without touching it, it'll all die anyway. Regardless of whether you introduce heat or rubbing alcohol. Yeah. That's pretty much... Yeah. They're not immortal. Viruses in particular need a host. They need a host. They can't survive on their own. So... And the fact that there's preservatives in this that are not conducive to reproducing those types of organisms is another reason why this is a shitty product. It's just a shitty product. So, yeah. That's my reasoning. I think my reasoning is sound. You don't necessarily have to agree with it. It's cool. I don't care. Like, do you. If you want to be the bubble boy, be the bubble boy. I don't feel like it. I felt like what I did was acceptable risk in my situation. Your situation might be different, and you're entitled to like approach it however way you want. If you want to be hyper vigilant about how you press your powders, then be hyper vigilant. I'm not gonna stop you. I don't care. You know, like do you. You know, I personally, this was not something I cared about because of how badly it broke me out. So I wasn't hyper vigilant about it. I didn't see the need. I also felt that it was excessive to clean the component when I routinely clean my components. So there you go. Alright, that's pretty much it. I didn't feel like doing my makeup yet because of that pimple. I still can't do my nails because of my eczema, although they are starting to, I'm starting to shape them. So they are, like, the corners on these, like, oval shaped nails are growing out. This one needs another 2 weeks. This hand might be perfectly shaped in a week. It'll be short like this, but I'll have the square thumb again on this hand if they don't break. But again, the eczema is kicking my butt. I have another flare up on this one. I was about to say outbreak. It's not an outbreak. It's a flare up because it's a genetic condition. It's not contagious. Yeah. So, but the nails are actually doing pretty well. So I'm excited about that. And then I think tomorrow I'll watch comparisons of those eyeshadow palettes that I was talking about. Do like a comparison swatch video. Anyway, that's pretty much it. See you guys later. Okay, bye.